Bulavinaka, good evening and namaste. You're watching Fiji Village Straight Talk. I'm Vijay Narayan, and on behalf of our listeners and viewers, would like to warmly welcome the newly appointed Minister for Information, Lynda Tabuya, for coming on the show. First time ever as Cabinet Minister. Thank you, Minister, for accepting the invitation.
Thank you, Vijay. It's a pleasure to be here.
Congratulations on your appointment as Minister for Information. Many people are saying the Ministry of Information over the past years, under the previous government, just became a propaganda arm. And at sometimes it was just used to ensure that only a certain narrative goes out to the people. When the coalition government came in after December 2022, there were also signs of lack of strategy and planning and direction in terms of information. What are your thoughts on that?
Vijay, first of all, I believe that the people of Fiji deserve to know what their government is doing. They deserve to know what the programs are, what there are. As taxpayers of this country, they should hear from their government of what is available for them. And I believe for some time, and these are questions and answers that have come actually from taxi drivers, from people who ride the bus and having issues with e-ticketing, and people who are dealing with issues in terms of the reduction or the increase of VAT. How does that affect them? So I believe the government has tried its best to serve the people, but yes, it has not been communicated to the people. I think the issue about communicating with the people, because for a very long time we've had the arms of government that were from outside, like Corvis, which was looking after the PR machinery of government. Then you had Vatis that was looking after the social media of government in the previous government. So there was a disconnect because government itself was not talking to the people. These PR consultants were in charge of the narrative. So when we did come in as a coalition government, it had to take a while to even get our people to detox, for lack of a better word, to get away from that, to actually then be taught how to use their freedom of speech, as well as using it responsibly, and as well as asking the right questions of government of what they want to know. So while people were not really getting into the habit of asking the right questions, the government to itself, because it had relied so much on these consultants from before, it took a while for government to then say, hey, we also need to inform the people right away of what we're doing. So it did take a couple of years, and I believe while the ministry was under the Prime Minister and not under a separate ministry, that did sort of take its toll as well. But now we are committed with this separate ministry to have a separate minister, which is why I've been appointed, is to ensure now that we do get the information out to people. That's really why we have this ministry, is that it is important for the people and government to talk to each other, and that the people can get information from the government because it builds trust, it builds cohesion, it builds unity.
Just reminding everyone, these questions also that will be asked of the Minister is based on the issues that you continue to raise through our radio stations, through our platforms, and from the issues on the ground. Apart from government speeches and press releases, will more independent questioning be allowed or encouraged?
Well, I believe you've started the model. The Fiji Media Association has started the model of having the town hall model, which you had out in Savo in Lambasa. I think out of that, government listened. And because the feedback from people, for example, someone were complaining about the boat services coming in late, and so they had the officials who were there, they were dealing with that, they were able to have the boats come in more efficiently. So yes, we do need the media to ask the questions independently of government, sort of the bridge between our people and government. And that's the partnership we're looking forward to, Vijay. That's why the very first week we met. And it was very good to meet because we're not there to control your content. I think free speech must continue and you must be encouraged. But of course, the outcomes must be the same, where we are informing our people together as media and as government machinery as well.
Minister, people sometimes complain government information comes late, is incomplete, politically selective. will you commit to releasing all the information, even the politically uncomfortable issues?
Absolutely. I think if we have information that goes out there that may not be favorable to government, it's upon us to do so. It's about building transparency. It's about being accountable to our people. We'll own it. We'll be responsible for it if we make a mistake, something that we didn't do right, but also how will we course correct and how will we do it in a very short period of time. So that we are committed to that as a ministry as well.
The government repealed the Media Industry Development Act during just the day before Good Friday in 2023. What is your stand on media freedom, independence and responsibility?
I believe our media in Fiji needs to and has the ability to regulate itself. And I believe that's what you've done. You've set up the Fiji Media Association. You have your own standards in terms of codes of conduct, which you enforce on your journalists. You should be self-regulated. It shouldn't be something for government to regulate because free speech must be guaranteed for our people. You are the fourth you're the fourth estate, as you call it, and you hold government accountable in terms of, and that's how a thriving democracy works. You've got to have a free media, but also a responsible media. And so we continue to look forward to working with the media. And of course, it's such an open door policy. You know, we continue to look at ways to improve the laws so that we can help our people. For example, the Online Safety Act. There are issues about that, where our Online Safety Commission doesn't have teeth. You have been asking government, what are we going to be doing about online safety and the amount of cyberbullying that is happening, the amount of unregulated content on social media. Those are good questions for government. What do we need to do? We need to review the laws so that we need to give it some teeth so that we can help our people to be able to have the confidence to complain to the police. We have the confidence that it will go to prosecution and that the perpetrators will be brought to justice. That's something we can work together on, and you've been talking about it for some time. So we as a government need to listen to the media, and we need to allow media freedom because it's only for the good of our people.
There'll be something as part of your campaign as well if elections is held, definitely as early as next year.
Well, I think the campaign, the time will come for it, but as a responsible government right now, we have the responsibility to ensure that our citizens are safe, that they are secure when it comes to online space. And the whole digital space needs to be looked at because in order to build trust from our people, they must be able to be safe both offline and online. It's something the government must look at, and our government information or PR machinery needs to just as quickly respond to online bullying as the perpetrator does. So we need to also respond in the same way. We need to be able to help our people to say, have the trust to come in, complain to the Online Safety Commission if someone has been bullying you, or take it to the police and make sure that it moves quickly. So that's a responsibility of government as well.
What will be done to ensure people on the ground understand the decisions and policies of the government?
Look, if you're looking at the rural areas, quickly it's got to be SMS, okay? Texts to our people in rural areas. Not all of them have smartphones. So we need to get that information out, especially during times of disaster and during times of crisis. We'll be setting up a rapid response unit so that they will quickly look at the situation and say, this is the information that needs to go out. It needs to be factual, and it needs to be brief and in very plain language. We need to work with the NDMO, of course, if it's a natural disaster. We look at health, if it is a health risk, and just basically work together, get that information out to our people. We use social media, we use radio, we use all our networks that are here. I think there's a lot of ways that we can work together with the media to ensure that the correct information goes out. That's very important. And you got to know the difference between freedom of speech and something that is unsafe for our people. For example, if someone comes and says, "Oh, the water supply in Lautoka is not really that good," it's freedom of speech, right? But if someone says, "Oh, the water in Lautoka is poisonous to drink," we're going to have to fact check that and ensure, because that's fake information, or is it false really, or is it true? So we have to ensure that we go in that's a rapid response unit that'll work and say, let's verify the information and let's get it out as quick as possible. Yes, it's poisonous, or no, it's not, so that we can protect our people.
The question about get it out as quick as possible. Sometimes as quick as possible. For government, it may mean at the end of the day. For the people, they want it now. And I mean, we saw that during COVID. You may remember the people wanted the information now. A press conference was happening at midnight.
Yes.
How do you address those kind of issues?
Again, we've got to change our attitude in terms of informing our people. We've got to prioritize our people. It's the only way to gain their trust. You know, we know that, you know, people have questions about how government has been not providing, you know, enough information on what it is we do, and timely as well. We've got to work with our media. We've got to work with Fiji Media Association. We've got to work with our media outlets as well as our telecommunications companies, and says, this is what we send out immediately, whether it's SMS, right, or whether it's on your radio stations, we send out the alerts. We've got to be on top of it so that people aren't waiting for press conferences. That's not the only way to communicate with our people, right? Because not everyone has access to the internet. So we've got to be mindful of all of them. But yes, we are committed to getting it out clearly, getting information out honestly and efficiently. That's what I'm here to do.
Social media misinformation is rampant. What's your plan to deal with fake news? You delved into it a bit before this, but how will you ensure that it is not an excuse to censor, but definitely fake news is fake news? We've got to call it. We've got to call it if it's misinformation or disinformation. What will be the plan in relation to that?
Well, we will need the expertise in the Ministry of Information, because you need expertise to be able to detect if something is deep fake, if it's AI generated, or whether it's real. You need expertise for that. So we need that, as well as like multilingual experts who can translate, you know, things into different languages. So it does take a level of expertise, which we still need, which we need to hire and put in there, but we are committed in terms of any fake news. Instead of making it like, you know, trying to attack fake news, we ourselves as government need to build the government portal. We need to build it so that it's like, it's just one place. If we don't publish it, it's fake. We need to build that reputation, right? If it's not on our page, it's fake. It's not real. So we need to become that trusted source of information to the public, and that's how you deal with it. Over time, you've got to build that reputation that we don't print it, it's not on our page, it's not real, or it's fake. So that's upon us to do that, and that's a responsibility I take very seriously.
Just to play out a scenario, for example, if there's medicine supply is no longer available at Lautoka and Ba Aspen hospitals, the information comes out, people start raising concerns. How will you handle it compared to how it was done before?
Again, if you're looking at the demographics, if there are people in the urban areas, of course, you've got to get the line ministries in, because they are the ones, I mean, you've got the pharmacists, right, who work under the Ministry of Health. You've got to ascertain right away. That feedback comes, you've got to ascertain it in a very short period of time. You've got to call me and say, what's going on with the medicine supply? Again, being factual. Look, if it's really a shortage, we've got to admit it to the public. Yes, that's correct. There is a shortage, and now this is what we're doing to compensate for it. We're going to be, you know, shipping medicine from Suva. We're going to get whatever surplus is in Lambasa as quickly as possible. It's just being honest with our people. But at the same time, for the future, it's going to be a lesson for the Ministry of Health. We've got to make sure that we are budgeting, yeah, that we have enough, right? But if it's alerted to us that there's a lack of medicine, then first of all, we admit it. It's a mistake, or it's a responsibility that has been overlooked, but then this is how we're going to compensate for it, rather than hiding away and people don't know, they don't get any answers, because that creates mistrust. But we've got to be able to be factual and real and honest, but then now we're going to rectify it, rectify the mistake, and move on and make sure that our
in this
people
case,
get it.
Aspen, I think the decision has been made to stop the medicine services in Lautoka and Ba. And definitely the ministry, as you said, rightly should answer why and what's the alternative in terms of that. Now we will go into the next segment where we will be looking at issues regarding online abuse and online safety. We'll be back after this break. Welcome back. You're watching Fiji Village Straight Talk. I'm Vijay Narayan. Our guest tonight is the Minister for Information, Lynda Tabuya. Now, Minister, we'll talk about something a bit more personal for you, and people have asked those questions, and we have this opportunity to ask you in relation to your private video that was leaked without your consent in December. It created a lot of issues, including you, first of all, losing your ministerial portfolio as Minister for Women, Children and Social Protection, and also you losing your position as Deputy Leader of the People's Alliance Party. How did you cope with this public fallout?
Well, I appreciate you raising this directly with me, Vijay. I want to tackle it head on because I know that it's been on people's minds. Yeah. So first and foremost, I just want to say how deeply sorry I am for the embarrassment. It was something that was private. It wasn't meant to be public, and I believe nowadays, in the digital space, many people use the digital space in their private moments is almost as intimate as being present in person. And that is something that I believe we will be seeing more of as we move on, because the freedom is given in the digital space to share privately. Now, it may have been some lapse of judgment, because now I know and I've learned that something that was done privately can be exploited, and that there's a possibility for phones to be hacked, for property to be taken without your consent. And so with that risk and going through that, I think I did step aside when I was told I was dismissed. I didn't fight it in my ministerial role, as well as losing my deputy leader position earlier, as well as losing my position as leader of government business as a woman. So, this was something I have learned. When you're a leader, what you do is in private, even though you have the entitlement to be private, can be exploited against you politically. And because at the end of the day, it's always about, will you win votes from this, something you do? Will you lose votes from something you do? And I think that's the public ramifications of it, and I take responsibility for that, Vijay. So, and again, but to give context, and again, it's not an excuse, with, and just being part of being transparent. At a time, I think the video in question at a time was when the father of my children, Rob, who we were sort of, because we had divorced, and it was just a time when we were getting to know each other again. We were considering whether we were going to be dating again or being together again. And it was really a moment shared privately. We were not together, we were apart. And again, it was, long separation. We came through COVID. And just in hindsight, I think it was just, again, like I said, a lapse in judgment to even create such a video. But having said that, I take responsibility for it. In this digital age, anything can be exploited.
Are you worried maybe there'll be more videos, or that's the only one?
Look, I believe in terms of moving forward, I cannot live in fear of a crime committed against me. Whether there are more videos or not, again, I cannot for sure say, because they can also be generated. They can be deep fakes. They can be AI generated. There may be more that'll come to try to discredit me, because it has happened and it's taken a toll, and I lost my ministerial position. Will there be more in the future? I have no doubt. Whether it's AI generated, it's going to come. But for me is that I've got to move forward without fear. I've got to move forward with the determination now that the advocacy that it is now placed upon me to represent every woman and girl, or every person that is now dealing with this, dealing with the blackmail, dealing with extortion, dealing with threats, which really is done to silence someone, to silence their voice, which happened in the last few months. It really took its toll on me, but I was still determined to continue to serve, even though I did not hold those positions. I carried on with my community service. I did the best I can. And so when I was reinstated, when I got this again, and I thanked the Prime Minister for his faith in me, I have to keep going. It was just a matter of, okay, there's more work now to do. But my service is what I continue to do. That's judge me for my service, not on what has happened and was a personal moment, but for what I do for the people and how I serve.
What are the learnings from this incident, as many see you as a role model?
Okay, when the incident happened, and the public opinion was split. It was split. The older generation versus the younger generation. I had a lot of younger people came to me and said, "What's wrong with that? That's your right." Then you had the older generation who were like, "Oh, you shouldn't be doing that in the first place." I listened to both because at some point you've got to be able to respect the rights and freedoms of individuals. 70% of our population now are young people who live in the digital space. If it happens to them, I will be the first person to stand up and defend them because they have the right in their digital space to share moments privately. That is guaranteed because the moment you share something without a person's consent, it's a crime. It's not even like a slap on the wrist. It is a crime. You cannot share a person's content without their permission. It is a crime. And it has been committed against you. And so I've done that. I have filed police complaints. They're currently in process. The difficulty with my case is that I have 2 perpetrators who live overseas. It is a transnational crime, so it's taking longer to bring the case to the investigations to a close. But I will continue on. I will have faith and I will press on until I see some results from this investigation.
You talked about blackmail and threats. You believe it is a targeted attack?
I believe it is a targeted, it is an organized, and it is a mobilized attack because it's not just one person involved. I had a perpetrator from the UK and one from Australia and a few here, and one from New Zealand and a few here in Fiji, working together. And it has come up through discussions and investigations that there are several people involved, targeting the Prime Minister, targeting myself, and maybe 1 or 2 others. But it is mobilized and it is targeted. So I will expect more of this moving forward. And when it comes to running for the elections next year, I've got to be steadfast because I believe I have a calling, and I believe I want to continue to serve our people. And so I ask our people to judge me for my service, for what I do for the people. And I think that's something I am committed to. And as I mentioned, it was something that was perhaps a lapse of judgment. But moving forward now, I just need to be more careful and exercise wisdom, which is something I've learned over the last few months as well.
Do you believe government leaders have set a good example in supporting victims of online violence?
Well, being a person who has been through it myself, I was shocked when I was dismissed. I think it would have been an opportune time to stand up for women who are dealing with cyberbullying, but I also understand the embarrassment that I caused the government, even though I was a victim of a crime. And so we could do more, definitely. We could be more advocates, but quite aside from that, I think we need to focus on strengthening the laws. We need to give Online Safety Commission more teeth so that when someone commits a cybercrime, when someone shares a video or a picture without consent, that the Online Safety Commission has the power immediately to issue a notice to Facebook and to those platforms to take it down, or they will be fined, or there will be a penalty. We cannot do that right now, and we need to do that. We need to be able to learn from Australia and New Zealand how they do it so that we can issue notices to Meta, to X, to Instagram, to TikTok to take down the content immediately, or they will be fined, or we will shut their portal coming into the country. We have the power to do so. So why don't we step up? That's upon us to review the laws and ensure that we protect our victims of cyberbullying.
I do remember when that video was being circulated, and it was circulated quite heavily by people named, and I think you have taken those issues in. I do remember when we were trying to get your response, and from your office, one of the people wanted the video to be shared with them, and I did alert that person that we cannot be sharing the video. We can only ask the question because we will be committing a crime. So just please remember that the law states that you cannot do that, and this is one of the issues that we have to deal with as far as Online Safety Commission is concerned. Online harassment, especially of women, is rising, Minister. Will you push for stronger laws and actual enforcement?
Absolutely. I think it's the responsibility of the Ministry of Information, and I hope, and I've been lobbying for the Online Safety Commission to come under our ministry. It's currently with the Ministry of Communications, but I hope that it can come under our ministry so that we can streamline the services we provide to our people, that if someone is facing cyberbullying, if a woman is being harassed online, she can lodge her complaint directly with Online Safety Commission. We have the ability to investigate. We have the ability to prosecute as well. And so coming under our ministry, we take care of information that is going out to the public, but also protecting the rights of our people, that their information will be protected. That's also their rights to privacy, which is under the Constitution. So yes.
So Online Safety Act, and we've had serious issues in terms of it being ineffective and inefficient, making the work of the Online Safety Commission hard as well, because you can only work according to the laws of the land. How much work is expected in the next few months in relation to this?
Well, for the Online Safety Commission, they certainly need more resourcing. I believe that's been allocated in this budget. So I think there's the need for them to have more space as well as more investigators within their department. But so far they've been doing a good job. We've seen a couple of individuals being charged for extortion as well as blackmail and threats, but sharing content that doesn't belong to them without consent. So it is encouraging. But I think it's just upon us, and this is what government is committed to, resourcing them more. But hopefully if they come under our Ministry of Information, that we'll be able to get the budget allocation as well. But it shouldn't stop our women or anyone that's dealing with online harassment or bullying to please report it to the police. But what we're finding, Vijay, is that, and this is from the police themselves, that women and girls, they'll turn up to the police and they will say to the police, I just want the content taken down. I don't want to file a report, because of the shaming and the embarrassment that comes with actually reporting that, yes, I have this content in the first place. And I believe that was the downside of what happened to me, is that the shaming and the vitriol that happened online and offline against me, who was the victim of a crime. I think that's what has discouraged women even more, to not just to discourage them from reporting, but also even women who want to become women leaders have been discouraged as well, that they don't want their lives out there publicly because it's just not worth it. So we have done a disservice for women with what happened. But so we need to strengthen the laws. We need to be there for our women, encourage them, trust the process. Please put it in the hands of the police. That's the bridge, that the gap that we need to bridge. So
police have to act on it quite quickly.
Yes.
Emotional trauma and mental health. No doubt these kind of things takes a toll on people. And you said it was a lapse of judgment based on the position that you hold, and it had become a targeted attack. Do you believe that you have managed to overcome that, and how difficult was that?
Well, the last 8 months have been tough. I think it was more so on my family. Even though my children, my teenage children, they were very supportive. Being in the digital space more often, they were quite adamant in being, lobbying and being advocates of it. They shared a picture of me and talked about, cyberbullying, stand up against cyberbullying. So those are for my children. But yes, it does take a toll on your family. I think it's, and for me, I lost my voice for a bit. It does throw you off. It does affect you. And I think the mental health side of it. I have had other friends. I remember a friend last year who took his own life as a result of cyberbullying. That was Ranandi KVT, it was, and the signs were there. And so it is driving people to become suicidal, all this cyberbullying online. So, I believe our people just need to show more respect on social media and to just have a lot of positivity, just find the positive in others. But for government, yes, we do need to, while we need to come out with stronger laws, we also need to advocate on positive engagement in social media. And that's something our ministry is committed to do as well.
And we're looking forward to that.
Thank you.
You're watching Fiji Village Straight Talk. I'm Vijay Narayan. We'll be back after this break. Welcome back. You're watching Fiji Village Straight Talk. I'm Vijay Narayan. Our guest tonight is the Minister for Information, Lynda Tabuya. Minister, we talked about crisis communication, so important. And sometimes a crisis can be just days without having water supply. What are your plans on crisis communication?
Well, we need to set up a unit, as I mentioned, a rapid response unit when there's crisis. And yes, it does involve essential services like no power for days or no water for days. We cannot let our people just become used to having that, because they shouldn't be used to it. They should be guaranteed such an essential service. So it's upon government to be able to inform them in advance that this is happening. If it's an issue that cannot be helped, like a burst pipe, right? Something that they need to fix, well, we need to be able to inform them in advance that it is happening so that they do prepare. We plan as a ministry to conduct a drill. So we'll have a mock drill in the next few weeks on how we do this, to ensure that those that in the Department of Water Authority of Fiji, or those in the disaster management office, that we're working together to ensure we have information in real time. And we've got to be able to reach out to these people as soon as we can. I remember that some would call in and say, "Oh, the Water Authority number, no one's answering." You can't bury your head in the sand, right? We've got to get greater accountability from our authorities, like Water Authority as well as EFL, that we are working together in tandem. This is something that we as a ministry need to focus on in terms of our rapid response unit. Like I said, we'll run a drill and just test it out, yeah? But even as it happens, we've got to be able to get in front of it. They've got to be able to come to us with a plan and say, look, we are planning this particular outage, or if there's an unplanned outage, this is how we respond right away. So it's building the trust of our people with the government again, brick by brick, on top of each other. So we've got to be able to turn something negative that we have been experiencing over the last 2 years and communicate better with our people when it comes to crisis communications.
Some of the political parties after your appointment came out attacking you and that you have been appointed again as minister. That in politics these statements can be made. It's
yes.
Freedom of expression.
Of course.
What are your comments to those parties or those politicians who are saying, "Oh, she got the job back despite what she did wrong," etc.? What do you have to say to them?
Well, look, I take responsibility. I stepped down. I apologized, and I think it's just needing to do the work to rebuild trust. But this isn't about me. It's about what is needed so that the government communicates better with our people in order to build trust. Again, I said, judge me by my service. I'm here to do a job, and I'm committed to it. We need to look at weekly briefings. We need to be able to have equal media, access, so that we can, work together with the media to get information out to our people. Understand where our politicians are coming from. We might have some media outlets that are not so friendly, some that are friendly, but you've got to have equal access. You've got to be able to have that all the time. I think for those politicians who are commenting, they'll always find an opportunity to attack the government that is there. And I just hope that, as we continue to build on news getting out there to our people rather than rumors, and that we are able to manage crisis communications, and that we're able to inform our people more honestly and in an efficient manner, then, hold me to the numbers. Hold me responsible for that.
Do you commit to having regular press briefings with the media? That's something that there's a vacuum there.
Yes.
Do we expect that after cabinet discussions, and how often will this take place?
Yes, we're hoping as we have the next cabinet meeting, that cabinet will endorse it, that we will have weekly briefings with the line ministers, or it might just be in the form of myself giving an update of what's happening during the week. It might be the Prime Minister, but it's certainly something that we are working towards, is to have weekly briefings with the public and the media.
How will you ensure that you involve everyday citizens, not just political insiders, when it comes to shaping information policy?
Again, I think we need to work with the media. I mean, you've just told me in terms of your questioning today, and what you've come forward with is what you've gotten from the media. We need our own unit within the Information Ministry, where we are also gathering and talking to the people on the ground. We need to do our own, whether it's surveys, whether it's online, feedback forms. We need to get that kind of information. We have a media monitoring unit that's monitoring what's important to the people, what's trending. So that's important for us, that we are actually listening. The town hall model is really a good one, where we're hoping to take the next one to the West, where we also sit and listen to our people and what is important for them. But really holding our ministries to account in terms of what they are doing, where they're delivering, and how we as the Ministry of Information are communicating that to our people. That's so important, that they know what we're doing.
And ensuring that we have access to ministers and civil servants who are the decision makers.
Yes.
Because we know the process starts with the budgeting.
Yes.
We have the budget announcements, and the execution on the ground also matters. And that's what we saw in Lambasa and Samsavu. Sometimes the ministry has not acted because the civil servants have not acted on it. Will we have the opportunity and access to ensure we can question ministers and also the senior civil servants?
That's going to be my job, I guess. I will need to become that conduit. If you request that you need to meet with a minister or meet with a civil servant, then we work together, Vijay, with the Ministry of Information, and make sure that they do attend these press conferences and attend interviews like this one, or as your talkback shows, which are quite popular in the different languages. I think that's important, to have our government officials and ministers front up and talk to our people directly, because then our people have the opportunity to ask questions as well. There's nothing like just being open and honest, turning up, being present, because if you're not present, then what happens? Fake news and misinformation will fill it up. So it's upon us, it's our responsibility to ensure that we talk to our people as often as possible.
Madam Minister, what's the big changes you want to see for the public to see from within a year from now?
So the Honourable Prime Minister was giving a story about how he caught up with a friend who came in from Australia, and that friend rode the taxi. And when he rode the taxi, and he asked the taxi driver, "Oh, how's the government?" And the taxi driver said, I think they're okay, but we really don't know what they're doing." That needs to improve. In a year from now, people need to be able to say, "I know what my government's doing. I trust what the information that my government gives me, and that if it's not on the government page, it's fake news." So that they can trust us as a source of information, as well as trust the government that we are there for them and also delivering for them. Factual, honest, efficient. And if we make mistakes, we will own it as well. And that's what builds trust between the people and their government.
As a woman in leadership, what are you doing to open doors for others in politics?
I'm still here. Even after what I've been through, I need women to know. I need women to know that if you go through experiences like I did or similar experiences in your life, it builds resilience. And it makes you tougher, it makes you stronger, it makes you wiser as well. And I think that's what I have to offer, that women or anyone in general, if they see me as a role model, it's not putting me up on a pedestal where I'm perfect. I'm not perfect. But I am resilient and I am better for it in terms of what I've been through. And I'm still here. And I'm still here to serve. And that's what we need. We need those that are coming, women especially, that want to lead. We're not looking for perfect women. We're looking for women who are able to last, able to be resilient and to be strong, and who are decision makers but are tough and able to see it through. And so I hope that I can be that kind of role model to them.
Are you aiming to become the Prime Minister of this country one day?
Vijay, I think I was 6 years old, 6 or 7 years old, growing up in Makanisila in Kalambu. I looked around me and I decided that I didn't want anyone else to grow up like I did. It was a poor settlement just outside of Suva. And I said to myself, I was determined that I would be somewhere where I would be able to make a decision and it would help everybody. And that was my goal since I was that age. That continues to be my goal, Vijay. And so if it takes me to that seat, then I know the Lord will prepare me for it. I know that it will be what the people want. And it's only for the people to decide whether that will be me or not.
We haven't had a female Prime Minister in this country. It's been 55 years since independence. You've been a politician for some time. From your perspective, what would it take? What would it take to have a woman Prime Minister?
America still hasn't had a woman president. They are a much older democracy, much more thriving one. So I believe that in order to have a woman Prime Minister, it will take two things. One, for women to vote for a woman leader. If you as a woman want changes for women in this country, you need to vote for a woman leader. Secondly, we need male advocates that champion women to lead. Male advocates, even if they're male leaders who are willing to make way for women because they believe that a woman can do it just as much as a man to lead this country.
Do you think we've arrived at that point, or we're far from it?
In 2022 elections, only 8% of voters voted for women candidates. We're a long way from it, Vijay. But unless a party puts up a woman leader, because in 2022 there were no woman leaders in any of the political parties, unless a woman leads a party, she will not be voted for. So that's where the male advocates come in. That's where the male champs come in to make way for a woman to lead a political party, because she's just as capable as he is.
Minister for Information Lynda Tabuya, thank you very much for accepting our invitation. I give you this time, your final words to those who are watching from around Fiji and around the world.
Naka, thank you very much, Fiji. I think it's just for me to say, please be kind and be respectful as you share on social media, and let's get the digital space safer for our people, especially for our children and our women and girls. We need to go back to those values that we cherish, and that is of kindness and love. And I wish all our deans, teams the very best in the semifinals this weekend, and having a safe and enjoyable weekend, Naka.
And that's your show for tonight. Until next week, have a great evening.